Good morning, everyone. This is Father Nate, missionary priest in Italy, and thanks for joining us today, April 23rd, on No Greater Delight, our podcast on Marian feasts and Marian meditations. Well, as always today, we have a number of feasts. We'll get started with what the Abbot Orsini tells us. He says that Pope Calixtus III today granted indulgences to visitors of the Cathedral of Arras, which holds a Marian veil and cincture. This goes back to 1455. We're also told that they celebrate Our Lady of Mende in Africa. This dates back to the 16th century. There's not a lot of information on that one. Interestingly enough, too, they also celebrate Our Lady of Itati, right? She's considered as the Queen of Paraná and the Queen of Love, right? Now, truth be told, they commemorate her feast on July 9th, right? But today we recall that in 1918, so that's April 23rd, 1918, Our Lady of Itati was proclaimed as patroness and protectress of the provinces of Corrientes and Misiones. That's all in Argentina, right? If we go to Montepulciano in Tuscany, Italy, they celebrate the Madonna di San Biagio. So that'd be like the Madonna of Saint Blaise, right? And this is because on April 23rd, 1518, two women and a shepherd were passing by the fresco of the Madonna Unchild on the old church of San Biagio, the church of Saint Blaise. And as they were passing by, they saw her eyes move as if she were alive. Now, the next day, people saw the very same thing, and so, of course, people started to flock there. The blind, deaf, and crippled were cured. So immediately then, a new church was begun, and it was finally finished in 1545. And lastly, we'll jump over to Spain, where in Paniza, in Zaragoza, Aragon, in Spain, they celebrate, interestingly enough, La Virgen del Águila, which is literally the Virgin of the Eagle. You might say, well, okay, why is that? Well, there's an annual procession to the mountain shrine on St. George's feast day, which is today, April 23rd, which commemorates the ending of a drought during a procession that took place way back, probably in 1516, on this day, April 23rd. So that is what we are celebrating in the Marian world today, April 23rd. For today's Marian meditation, taken from the book by Father Ildefonso Villar, we begin with Meditation 58. And again, this one is entitled Life at Nazareth, but it is actually the last one in this series. We have all these Life at Nazareth. And this one just gives us some general considerations, especially between Mary and Jesus. And that's precisely our first point, Mary and Jesus. We shall try to fathom the kind of relation which existed between Jesus and Mary during the 30 years of hidden life of Nazareth. It was, first of all, the relationship of mother and son. Jesus, the Son of God, was also the son of Mary, and was to her all that a good son can be towards his mother. Mary had to do for him all the services which a mother does for her child. And the child Jesus, like any other, had to depend on his mother, to such an extent that the life of one was the life of the other. Mary lived all for Jesus, while Jesus was wholly dependent on Mary, his mother. What a sweet compenetration of lives between mother and son. Everything in the life of Jesus had its repercussions in the heart of Mary. It would sometimes be a joy, a desire, or an anxiety, a loving caress or an effort, or as in the case with all earthly mothers, a preoccupation to feed him, clothe him, and rear him. Only all in a way far more loving, more tender, and devoted. Nothing, even among the children of kings and emperors, had ever enjoyed such exquisite care as Jesus received from his most loving mother. For today's reading from the Admirable Heart of Mary by St. John Eudes, we continue with Part 8, which talks about the holiness of Mary's heart as the foundation, one of the foundations for the devotion to her Admirable Heart. And we continue with Chapter 3, entitled Heart of Mary, Miracle of Love. As for the effects of the love that reigns in the heart of the Queen of Heaven, it would be easier to count the stars of the firmament than to number them. Count, if you can, all the moments Our Lady spent on earth, and you will be counting as many operations of Mary's love for God, for she never ceased to love him a single moment during the entire course of her life. Count all her thoughts, words, and actions, the exercise of every faculty of her soul, and of all her interior and exterior senses. And you will likewise be counting as many effects of her love, for she obeyed most perfectly the command of her divine spouse. Put me as a seal upon thy heart, as a seal upon thy arm. That's Song of Songs 8, verse 6. Hence all her interior and exterior actions were stamped with the seal of divine love. Count all the acts of faith, hope, charity, justice, prudence, fortitude, temperance, humility, obedience, patience, and all the other moral virtues which she practiced during the years of her life, and you will be counting as many manifestations of her love, because that love was the principle, the soul, and the life of all her virtues. Count all the services she so lovingly rendered to her dearest son, as his birth, during his childhood, and throughout his entire life. All the steps she took in her journeys with him and for him. All the burdens, pains, and anguish she bore for him on account of her incredible love for him. All the tears so abundantly shed for him. And you will be still counting further effects on her of her incomparable love. But to say much in few words, you should understand that perfect love possessed, filled, and penetrated so completely the heart, soul, and all the faculties of the Virgin Mother that it constituted the soul of her soul, the life of her life, the mind of her mind, and the heart of her heart. Thus love inspired and accomplished everything in her and by her. If she prayed, love prayed in and by Mary. If she adored God, love adored and praised him in her and through her. If she spoke, love spoke by her lips. If she was silent, her silence stemmed from love. If she worked, love motivated her action. If she rested, love caused her repose. If she ate or drank, it was in obedience to the words of the Holy Spirit, who is essential love. Whether you eat or drink or whatsoever you all do all to the glory of God. That's from 1 Corinthians 10:31. If she mortified herself, her decision was moved and guided by the same love which kept her in a state of constant mortification.
Hello, and we hope that you enjoyed listening to our Marian podcast. In the spirit of Saint Bernard of Clairvaux, we say to you that there is no greater delight than to spread the devotion of Our Lady. We hope you share these sentiments and encourage you greatly to share with a loved one. Know that you are always in our prayers, and we ask that you keep us in yours. God bless.